everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love St. Augustine, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about being a part of Flagler County and now also St. Augustine. So I'm super excited to have my guest Eric with us today. Eric, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, Eric and I met not too long ago. We met at a St. Augustine BNI chapter meeting. I was just visiting. And let me tell you guys, everyone in that group loves Eric. And I was so excited that we finally got to connect because I feel like every single person gave you a shout out in one way or another.
Right.
So clearly that's a huge testament to what you do. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about your story. So why don't you kick us off and tell me a little bit about your journey, coming here and being in St. Augustine?
It all started out with my brother, I guess. He owns a painting company out here, and he's been bugging me for years to because I used to live in Chicago or Illinois, and he's been bugging me for years. Come down here, help me with my business. I want to grow it, I want to expand it. And he was looking for that help that he couldn't find out here. And he bugged me for years, and finally the stars aligned. My wife's a nurse. She had just finished school, got her bachelor's
Yay.
degree in nursing, which allowed her to, go anywhere with that degree. And, I had the job opportunity here with my brother. So that's how it all started.
That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
kind of usually the other way around. I feel like people up in the north, like they're just finding a reason to come down. I feel like for you it was a little bit different, but because
Right.
I'm from up north too, and it's definitely a different system of the
Yeah.
weather,
Yeah.
just in
It's
general,
like two
everything's
different
different.
worlds,
It
actually. But,
is, yeah.
I'm definitely thankful for it. I wouldn't change anything about it. I love it out here.
Yeah, well, Illinois/Chicago, they're both very beautiful places. I used to live in Michigan, so Chicago is
Oh,
a
okay.
very normal trip. At least like once a year, me and my family would go, just like we'd find ourselves out there. I don't know, it's like easy enough to go over there. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful over there, but St. Augustine is also beautiful. So how
Oh,
long
yeah.
have you guys been in St. Augustine now?
I've been here, what, 21, about a little over 3 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. So kind of like right at the tail end of the pandemic kind of
Right.
ish.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Nice. That's great.
So,
So tell me a little about, I mean, obviously you came down here with your brother to help with the painting. But now you do, a little bit of a handyman service with EC does it all. So why don't you tell me a little bit on getting into that?
yeah. So, I was working with my brother for a little while, and, unfortunately, sometimes things don't always work out the best with
Sure.
family. They don't agree on everything or see eye to eye. So I just decided it was time for me to go my own way.
Right.
I've been in the trade since I was about 16 or 17.
Ah,
So probably a little revealing, but that gives me about a little over 30 years experience in the trade. So,
nice.
I was a carpenter in Chicago. I was a union carpenter for many years. Did a lot of side work. I worked with a lot of different people in different trades. I learned a lot, from all different kinds of trades. So I helped out friends, families, did side work along with working in trade. So I gained a lot of knowledge over the years. And like I said, that was my thing when it came to the handyman business. It's something I like to do. I like to work with tools. I like helping people out. So it was my chance to make an impression because I was also one of the people to where if I needed a service at my house, I didn't like the whole salesman coming there for 2 hours, bringing every display he's got out and this and that. I didn't want to be sold on everything I didn't need. And
Right.
that's kind of what I like to bring to the people is I'm there to do what they want, not nickel and dime them. Just good old fashioned customer service, really.
Yeah. I find
You
that
know,
that's really the best business origin stories, right? Is typically it's born out of something like, hey, I like this industry, but I don't necessarily love all the way that the industry is run. So why don't I
right,
do it? I can do it for myself, but I also want to help the community, which definitely seems like you're a very community driven person and a very customer oriented person. And then, like I mentioned, everyone at that VNI chapter, there's probably like 25 or so of you.
right,
Raving reviews, which is, sometimes we don't think about how big 25 is, but
yeah,
25 in a room being like, yeah, we love Eric. He's doing a great job for us and our clients. I mean, there you go. The proof is in the
right.
pudding, for so to say. So when you kind of talk about a little bit of handyman services and what you do, what are some of the things that you do if people were interested in learning a little bit more about, or going, oh my God, that's been something that's been bothering my house for a while and I didn't even
Right.
realize someone could fix it for me.
So with the handyman business, okay, so first and foremost, obviously, like I said, I was a carpenter. So anything that has to do with carpentry, whether it's trim, doors, cabinets, anything like that, flooring, I'm definitely, I can do and I do for a lot of people. But basically, with the handyman service, I'm there to help. So it doesn't
Mm,
matter if it's someone that needs a handle replaced on their door, their doorknob or their lock set, or if they need a kitchen drawer repaired, or I mean, whatever it is. I just went and looked at a job yesterday for an old couple, and among a couple other things, like they needed a railing fixed outside, they wanted help cleaning their ceiling fan and their light fixtures because they're old, they don't want to climb the ladder or either
yeah.
can't climb the ladder. And I told them, I said, yes, no problem, I'll do that. And I told them, I said, that wouldn't even be a charge. I'll just do that just to
Oh,
help. So
yeah.
I mean, and that's what I like. That's what I like about my job or love about my job is not being a corporation. When I go and help people, I can make those choices. I'll do this for you for nothing, just to be a nice
Right.
person and be helpful, help you out, and this and that. So that's another thing I like about being in business for myself. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
those are
rewarding in
amazing.
itself.
Definitely. When we first moved into this house about 2 years ago, there were a bunch of things that my family was like, yeah, we can do it ourselves. Like I wanted a fan in my room. I didn't have a fan. So we went to Home Depot and we got a fan and then it just sat in my room for like 2 months. And my parents were like, are you gonna put it in? I'm like, I don't really know how. And they're like, we don't know how. Why are we
Right.
pretending like we are gonna figure it out? We're not. So we just called someone, and you're like, hey, and I think he was done in maybe an hour or so. Like it wasn't that long, it was a while ago, so I don't really remember. But even like cleaning, that's a thing. Like it took the three of us, me, my mom, and my dad, to clean my ceiling fan because I hadn't used it for a few months during the winter.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I want to start using it again because now it's getting hot. So let's clean it. And it took literally all three of us to like, hold the chair properly,
Right. Safety
hands this
first.
right, a spot just in general. So that's awesome you were able to do that for that family, even free of charge, even just
Yeah.
doing for a little bit, but you really care about them, so that's awesome.
Right. So I mean,
Um,
like I said, I do a lot of stuff though. I mean, so many things, so many different things to name. I mean, just pretty much anything and everything around your house, is
right.
pretty much the best way I can describe it or tell
Yeah.
someone.
Are those things
That's a
that
lot
you
of
tell
times I
your
tell people you're better off asking me what I don't do.
Nice. That's helpful
So,
to know because I think we all kind of fall victim of like, yeah, we'll DIY it, we'll go on YouTube, and it's like,
right.
no, is it really the best use of your time? I think is the big question that everyone should
Yeah.
always ask themselves is like, do I really want to spend like it might take an hour to install, but it might take me 5 hours to learn how to install it.
That, and
Um,
then you always got to worry or wonder, do you have the right tools for the job as well?
Right. So calling
So,
someone like a professional like Eric just makes sense. So you can do it in an hour. You don't have to waste 6 hours of random doing all this stuff. You could do so much, in 6 hours.
right.
So that's a great thing to know. So I'll make sure if anyone has any questions to put Eric's information in the description. Definitely click check out. Just ask, call him up, see if you have any questions. And he'll definitely, like he said, mention if it's something he can't do, if it's like the
Yeah.
one thing he can't do. So that's always worth it to figure out. At least ask some questions. But you've been here in St. Augustine for kind of a little bit, I would say. What are some of the things that you like to do around town? Maybe events to go to, groups to join, places to go, and where people can kind of get active with the community, kind of put themselves out there.
Right now, I think the best thing for me, other than the architecture and the historic, all the historic things out here, I like just going and exploring everything. It seems like every time I go downtown, St. Augustine, or out on island, I'm always finding something new.
Right.
Whether it's a restaurant, it's a bar, or it's just they got the Ripley's Believe It or Not there. They got the Alligator Farm, the Lighthouse. I mean, there's just so many things to do. I mean, I think that's my favorite part is, there's always something to do.
Right.
If you live in St. Augustine and you say you're bored, something's wrong somewhere because I
Right.
mean from the beaches to all the attractions and the entertainment, I mean there's always something to do out here.
Exactly. No, it was so funny. I was talking to Kevin, who's the chiropractor of your group,
Right.
2 days ago, and he's been in St. Augustine for he said about a year, and he's like, yeah, I'm always going downtown. I'm always doing something. I'm like, oh, have you been to the macaroon shop? He's like, no, I didn't know there was one. So I guess
Yeah.
that really shows that there's always something new.
Actually, I believe
Um,
there's a couple of those.
There are. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't even live in St. Augustine. I technically still live in Flagler. I live in Palm Coast.
Okay.
But I gave him a tip too. So there's always
Right.
something to go down there and figure out if you think you've been to downtown 1,000 times, go an extra time, there's probably something new you're gonna find there. So
Yeah. Exactly.
are there any last things you kind of want to throw out there before I wrap it up? I really
Uh,
enjoyed our time today. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing a lot about what you're doing and all the amazing stuff around St. Augustine.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course.
Thank you very much. You allow me to get out there, get the word out there, and let people
Yeah,
know a little bit more about myself. Which is good because I am a one man band.
nice.
So a lot of my time is spent obviously on the job, and then when I'm not on the job and it's after hours, I'm doing my computer work. All the tax preparation, taking care of receipts, all that stuff like that. So it gets to be overwhelming. It gets to be hard for a one man
Yeah,
show, but like I said, I appreciate opportunities like this
of
too because
course.
it helps.
Yeah, anytime. Well, I'm so happy to kind of share and showcase. That's what I meant
Right.
to say. I just made up a new word for fun.
There you go.
Um, all the amazing things you do, because I feel like there's always something around the house that we always think that we're gonna get around to, but then we don't. And sometimes it's
Right.
just better to have someone in our back pocket and be like, hey, this small thing, can you help me out? This big thing, can you help me out with? So it's great to have someone like you around
Yeah,
to do
that's
it.
my goal. I want to be a household name. I want to be
Right.
someone that needs something done, something put together, or something fixed. Oh yeah, EC does it. HandyMan service. He's the one to go to. So
Yep. Yeah, and people also learn a little bit about you, because I think the number one like worry is like, oh, I don't know how trustworthy this person is. I don't
yes,
really know anything about this person. I know that's a
right.
big fear I had when like we first moved here. We had to do all this work for our house and we just really didn't know what to do. We kind of went on Facebook, and Facebook's a great place to find it, but you want
Mhm.
that personal touch. So hopefully
Right.
people can learn a little bit more about you and what you do. So again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. This is always a great time for me. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I
Of
appreciate
course.
it.
And to everyone listening, I really appreciate you as well, and I will see you next time.